Alright guys, welcome back. It's getting to the point where I'm just like, let's just end it, you know? I've started this playthrough, I think it's been like a month now, more than a month. And I'm finally starting to realize I guess the amount of time it really takes to get through games like this. So this is actually my very first playthrough of a legit JRPG. I did Valkyria Chronicles, but that was a little bit more easier to micromanage because it wasn't so much like, you know, going from one area to another. It was more like doing missions, progressing through the chapters just, you know, by doing missions, really. And here, there's a lot of grinding involved, and not saying that, you know, Valkyria Chronicles didn't have its share of grinding, but this game, being a Final Fantasy game, of course, has the characteristics of a JRPG, where it's just a majority of it is traveling, grinding, getting stronger, progressing, and yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was a really fun experience. Like I said before, I'm definitely going to do 13.2 and Lightning Returns when that comes out on Steam. I've actually never played Lightning Returns before. I did for a little bit on the PS3, like I got it used and I returned it because it was just plain terrible. Not gonna lie. Like the frame rate was terrible too. Like how did they expect something like that to run so smoothly? I mean, it was ambitious. Like they actually incorporated like towns, people. The towns were filled with life, which is kind of uncharacteristic. Considering their track record, but at the same time though, it's, I don't know. I feel like Lightning Returns shouldn't have existed. I feel like it was more like a ploy for them to make a little extra money on the side, but I mean, that's just how business works, in this industry at least. But I feel like they could have optimized it better or placed it on like a different... They should have just saved it for the PS4, I think. Although there's still rumors of the fabled Trilogy collection that they may re-release on the PS4 or current gen consoles, Xbox One, PC. But I don't think they will. Well, they might. Square Enix has a track record of re-releasing a lot of stuff. For example, Final Fantasy X HD Remaster has a release date in May for PS4 and Xbox One, and whether or not that has a PC release is up in the air. I would like to actually play it on PC, but the thing is, I don't think it really warrants a re-release unless you're utilizing the hardware to its fullest potential. Because if it just ends up being a PS3 port to PS4, and it's capped at 30 frames per second, I mean, there's no real, I guess, reason to buy it. Like, unless it's sharper, like the textures are sharper, the frame rate is higher, then maybe yes, that's pretty much how it's supposed to look like, how it's supposed to perform. I mean, I played the HD remaster of FF10 and 10.2 on the PS3, but I mean, the differences were not really that much. I mean, originally it was supposed to be just on the Vita, I believe. I got it on the Vita too, and, you know, it's not that big of a difference. It's just a preference of whether or not you'd rather play it on a handheld, or you'd rather play it on a big screen television. Whatever the case. I mean, 10 was a great game. 10.2 has a special place in my heart. I mean, provided that it was just a blatant form of fan service. But it still had a really good story, and it still had a really good soundtrack, and it actually familiarized me with a lot of J-pop artists at the time, like Koda Kumi. I wasn't really aware of her before that game. And that's the one thing about these games, is that they introduce some like artists that you're not normally familiar with, especially in J-pop. But FF10.2 kind of had this J-pop influence on it, and I kind of liked it for what it was. But in terms of the re-releases, it's like, it doesn't really warrant a purchase if it's just a port. But like I said, if the frame rate is doubled, and if the textures are better, then I'd say it would be worth getting. I think you could actually go on their website. If you go to Square Enix's main Japanese website, there's a site or a link that directly links you to screenshots from the PS4 version, and the changes are significant. Like, you do notice that the colors are a little bit brighter, the textures are a little bit higher quality, but then everything is really dependent on how it looks in motion. Like, a game could look good, like in the screenshot, but in motion, I'd like to see how it looks. But back to the idea of them releasing a trilogy set for the Xbox One and PS4 for 13, totally possible. They definitely want to do that to make some extra money. But since Type 0 is coming out and 15 is over the horizon, they may just either do it afterward or maybe sometime before to make some extra money. Not so sure though. I mean, it's really up in the air at the moment. My speculation is that they might release it before. If they have a trilogy planned for the 13 series, then they may re-release it before 15 comes out. And I'm assuming 15 won't come out till 2016, at least in the States. A lot of people are guessing that it may release in Japan this holiday, which is a realistic presumption, I believe. But us guys in the West, we will most definitely not see it this year. It's going to be like probably January next year, or February, or March. I mean, they already started the localization. They already have English voices in there too, so I don't know, maybe we're in gear for a simultaneous release. Because I remember when FF12 came out, and, well, before it came out actually, there was like a demo that was packaged with Final Fantasy VIII. I mean, not 8, Dragon Quest VIII. Dragon Quest VIII had the demo to Final Fantasy XII. It was actually voiced in English, I remember, if I remember correctly. And then it released shortly after that, 2006. So it was a year after, actually, so give or take a year, I think. 2016, we'll see Final Fantasy 15. But I think most of all, I would like to see them re-release some of the classic Final Fantasies, like Final Fantasy VI, for example. I mean, if they gave the handheld treatment to Final Fantasy III and Final Fantasy IV, I think they could most definitely do it with Final Fantasy VI. Oh shit, I'm about to die. And of course, as I get carried away with my conversation, I get downed by this minor enemy. But yeah, I mean, I would like them to re-release Final Fantasy VI. And of course, everyone's asking for an FF7 remake. But I keep telling people, I don't think it's going to happen. I think the only way that they would remake Final Fantasy VII is if they are bankrupt or on the verge of, like, you know, bankruptcy. Maybe they'll do it as a final hurrah, because they'll definitely get a lot of money for it, no doubt. I think that's their ace in the hole when things go south. And Vanille's down. Lame. But yeah, I mean, I want an FF7 remake as much as everyone else, but I don't think it's necessary. I think the game was good on its own. I don't think it needs to be remastered. There's a lot of my fear as a fan is that when they do remake it, they may change a lot of the story and plot elements. Kind of like how they did in Crisis Core. Like, I don't know if you guys played Crisis Core, but they changed a lot of the background of Sephiroth. That his pretty much the cause of his madness was Genesis revealing to him that he was a monster, that he was a creation in a test tube. And I don't really think that was a smart move. I think that was just there for marketing purposes since Gact, or I'm pretty sure you guys probably know who he is. He's a really old J-pop artist. He was part of a J-rock band or a visual K band called Malice Miser. He was modeled for Genesis, who was one of the antagonists in Crisis Core and in Dirge of Cerberus for the PS2. So I think they just, you know, because he was under contract by Square Enix, maybe he wanted more screen time, so I guess they gave him a more pivotal role in the backstory or the lore of Final Fantasy VII, and I don't really agree with that. And they added a whole bunch of different things. They added, like, different scientists, different types of, like, cells. There's, like, G cells, Genova cells. Like, I know I'm spewing a bunch of nonsense, but for you guys who are familiar with FF7 and its lore, there's a lot of, like, depth to it, a lot of development to it, and, you know, I like the world of FF7, but I feel like if they remade it, they would change a lot of things that made it great, and sometimes things are just better to be left alone. As I said, FF7 on its own as a PS1 game was already good by itself. I don't think it requires any changes or revisions. But if they were to do it, I think it would be okay to at least add the events of Crisis Core and Before Crisis, because those were two games that I felt were, yeah, I guess, important in a way. Crisis Core was good for the development of Zack, because I feel like Zack wasn't really developed well in 7 well enough. I mean, you could infer based on the information they give you about his background, but Crisis Core was, I think, very important in his development as a character and developing that backstory and background for that character. How they even got there past all the security, past all the soldiers, is beyond me. It's getting to that point in the game where it's just like, we're giving you some moral advice, moral support. And I kind of felt like these characters could have gotten a little bit more screen time. Like, they were very interesting in my opinion. At least a little bit more, because they're close to Snow. They have that developed relationship. I don't really agree with the blue-haired dude, but everyone else seems like they could have been really good party members to have. I mean, why limit yourself to just 6 when you could have a little bit more than that? I always kind of thought that guy looked like Waka. Just as a side note. That is so friggin' cheesy. The amount of cheesy in this is great. All this just to make Snow look cool. I think we're in the main plaza now. This is like Leviathan Plaza. This is actually one of the zones that's best to grind for materials, especially from the Longuis, those big turtle things. Please, I don't want to fight you guys. Thank you. Actually, I don't think the long ways show up until after you beat the game. It's kind of weird how this game works out. Like, after you beat it, there's like a new game plus, but that's only really meant for doing the rest of the side quests you missed. A lot of the hunts. And if you wanted to develop your characters even further, then that was also another option. I almost got it staggered. One more. There we go. I was waiting for him to launch that. It's almost dead too, just die. Finally. That's the one thing about this zone I hate a lot. They force all these strong monsters on you, and it's really pointless. This is pretty much a prelude to one of the next bosses too. I think we fight Rosch for one last time. Like, I feel like this city, too, could have been a nice place to explore. Like, the architecture looks really nice.
Crystal?
おいおい、コクーンの崩壊が始まったのか。
オーファンが戦闘の激しさに耐えきれなくなっているのかもしれません。
神が目覚めようとしているな。
すぐ寝かしつけてやるさ。
騎兵隊を阻止できるかな。彼らは自由のためだと信じてオーファンを撃つだろう。止めるには彼らと戦い殺すしかない。
お お前と違って話の通じる相手だ。
だといいがな。私は最上の席で国運の死を楽しむとしよう。お前たちも早くセントラルにたどり着くといい。家族に会いたいだろう。願いは全てそこにある。
願いなんて決まりきってる。
奴の体に刻んでやるさ。
There it is, pretty much the last dungeon in the game. Not gonna waste any more time here though. Just gonna go straight for the objective. No, I don't want to fight you. Also, as a side note, these guys are actually good to grind if you want some money, because they drop those credit things. The credit chips that you could sell for money. Oh, they actually have, like, a route that you can take just to, like, skip out on some of those behemoths. Nope, 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 get away. Alright, never mind. And then for whatever reason, you just have a hallway of civilians. Realistically, I think they're just there for, like, you know, plot development, like how everyone's feeling, to explain, I guess, the tension that exists in this, this town, this city. But after this corridor, there's a courtyard, and we fight the, I think, Rosch for the last time.
全土のファルシをコントロールするファルシエデン。それを支える膨大なエネルギーの塊、ファルシオーファンもあそこに。
So pretty much gods are just batteries, or the Falsi are just batteries, sources of energy.
おい、正面って姉ちゃんよ。 頼もしい援軍だな。
化け物同士仲良くするか。すっごく強そう。すまない。冷静さを失うな。
俺に任せな。
この作戦で行く。冷静さを失うな。追い散らせてやる。冷静さを失うな。
Alright, finally we're at the center here, and we should be seeing the boss coming in soon.
またか。
今度は何でしょう。
違いだと。みんな一瞬で。
武士として迷う暇も与えねえってか。
I'm gonna try my best to skip these guys because they don't seem like they move that fast. Get the fuck out of the way, dude. There we go.
全員行っちまったか。
Probably the same tactic here, tank and spank, pretty much. Well, that was rather challenging, I guess, in a sense.
ロッシュ、私の部下は そうか。
お前さんなんだってここまで。
私はファルシの指示に従い多くの犠牲を強いた。それがパルスを恐れる民衆の望みだったからだ。ファルシに頼り切った市民の生活を、希望を奪うことはできなかった。たとえそれが偽りであったとしても。
じゃあファルシに飼われてることを知ってて。
歴史の中、いつか国運の繁栄につながると信じていた。だが歪みは歪みを生むだけだったな。これが報いならば受け入れよう。
かっこつけんな。そうやって途中で投げ出すのか。
そうだな、まだやれることは。私だ。サイコム管理官のロッシュだ。サイコム各部隊および全警備軍に次ぐ。ルシ討伐は中止。繰り返す、ルシ討伐は中止。以降は住民の避難を最優先にして行動してほしい。ただしこれは命令ではない。私個人の希望だ。ロシュ、行け。国運を守りに来たのだろう。あの言葉も偽りか。生き延びた。見届けろ。
Little does he know, he will not be alive.
君という人間を信じよう。見届けなくとも守るだろうさ。これが私の最後の意志だ。
And all of a sudden you're supposed to feel sorry for him. I believe this is the entrance to the final dungeon. That it is. I just saved. Why even put a save point there if you're gonna ask me anyway?
XIIIはたどり着いてたらそこにいる。
みんな死骸に。
行くぞ。消えた命も思いも継いでみせろ。
おうよ、でっけえ仕事が残ってる。
終わらせましょう、ファルシの楽園を。
ナイスリー、お前をぶっ倒す。
Alright guys, I'm going to end it here for now. I think the next video I upload will be the final, I guess, the finale to this game, but we will see. In any case, I'm going to end it now, and I'll see you soon.